Booties for black girl nerds.
And this show is so much fun. I love the idea of kind of a send up, like a loving send up of kind of a traditional multicam where you're just like, laugh track and really, aping it up for the camera. Johnny, I know you kind of, your background is more reality and, that kind of thing. What was it like kind of jumping into this world of artifice?
Oh, well, it was very welcome because I don't have to worry about, am I going to be able to walk at the end of the day, talk. I could just lay back and deliver my lines.
I'm about to say you don't need the hot
between scenes, aside from Judy Greer saying terrible things to me. Everyone else was very nice.
There we go. She has to keep you on your toes. That's the whole thing. Keep you in character.
I guess.
That's right.
Well, Judy, I know, of course, I've loved you from Arrested Development to Archer to just everything. I adore it. And I love that this is a kind of another chapter, something different. What originally drew you to this project?
Everyone but Johnny.
Wow.
I Steve Levitan and Johnny and I will agree on this one thing only. Only one. It was him. If he's making a gingerbread house, I would want to make it with him. Like whatever he does, I always would love to try to be a part of. And I've done guest spots on shows he's worked on in the past. So this was like such a big deal to be able to work with him every day. And I thought, see how his mind works, but it's impossible, really. He's just a genius, and you can't really. I need more than 8 episodes to get in there.
Well, one thing that I love about Steve is he's always kind of been the arbiter of like the anti-sitcom. So when we think of, Just Shoot Me, and you think of even Modern Family to a point where it's just something different. He was like, oh, I thought that someone would have done this a long time ago, but I guess not. Yeah. It's like, not everyone has your mind, Steve. That's what's fantastic. Johnny, when you kind of read your character, was there anything that you kind of personally put into him that is like 100% your addition?
God, the character came so fully formed, and a little close to home. That I was already in the character.
Clay has been through some things.
Clay's been through some things. I've been through a couple things. So yeah.
There you go. I love it. And how about you, Judy? Was there anything that you put into the former Duchess, was it, or Countess?
Spanx.
Duchess. Stop.
Oh, there we go. Duchess.
Yes, the Spanx. Well, I felt like that there are a lot of things that Bree and I had in common, but I wanted her to be really excited for the show. I wanted her to have a sense of positivity about her that sometimes I have a harder time finding.
Yes, we know that line.
Well,
it definitely comes through, and good. I love the energy between all of the cast, but you two in particular. It's so fun, and you guys do such a great job. So thank you so much for taking a little time to talk with me about it.
Thanks,
and
Stevie.
Can't wait for more people to watch it. It's going to be a great time.
Thank you.
Take care. And let me tell you, I don't mind a reboot. I know everyone kind of gives them flack, but what I like when they do a reboot is when there's something different there and there's something that kind of elevates it or, brings it into kind of the modern day. And what I love about your character is that all he wants is recognition. All he wants is a little bit of gravitas, and they just keep tearing him down. Tell me about how you kind of became involved with the show and how the character kind of speaks to you.
I had a meeting with Steve Levitan pre-pandemic, and he just discussed that he had me in mind for this character Bree, and so we sat down and talked about it. And when he mentioned the idea, when he pitched the concept to me, that thing went off in my head that goes, how has no one thought of this yet? And when you think that, you're in good shape. That's that's a solid idea. So we went from there, and I said, whenever this happens, whenever this project comes to fruition, I'm in, I'm attached, give me a call. And I feel like what's interesting about Reed is that in a way, here's the thing about Reed. Reed is an excellent actor. He's a very, very, very good actor. He just gets in his own way by being, I think, a little too hyper vigilant about everything. I mean, this has to be extremely different than it was last time. Right. And it's like a lot of things that happen to all of us, right? We have an expectation, or you start to make an expectation for your life, and then something completely different happens. So I think what he learns through the season is he learns to go with the flow a little bit more. He learns that if you let this go and stop taking everything so seriously, it's not brain surgery. Get out of your own way. And, gosh, Reed, newsflash, have some fun. It's kind of a bit of the journey that he's going through.
But it's so interesting, because when you're an actor, especially in that position, if you leave something that has been kind of the start of your career that you've been obviously typecast into, and you're trying to like make a new name for yourself, I can see how that's very daunting, especially when then the auditions that do come lead to another type of typecasting that we kind of see now. Yeah, I want to hear about that audition. And was there catharsis in that being kind of like opened up, like, yeah, this is what happens?
Yes, I was actually that was very astute of the writing staff to do that. I thought that was such a great thing, because you've heard the stories about actors who've been like, I mean, I have played Othello, I have played Angelo, I've played Hamlet, and now what's this thug number 6? It's
number 6 even.
Yes, number 6 even, right. And the funny thing is, tropes are tropes and stereotypes are stereotypes because they come from some kernel of truth. And this is no exception for this particular case. I was really, when I read the pilot, I remember that being part of it. I'm going, oh, that's right on the nose. That's right on the nose. So yes, there was a catharsis in a way, because you're going, oh, it's so nice that this time it's make-believe.
Exactly. Oh, I adore it. And I love your character in this show. I am really excited for more people to be able to see it, and just to kind of have another take on something familiar. So yeah, thank you so much, Keegan, for talking with me today. And yeah, I wish you nothing but the best. It's going to be great.
Thank you so much. Good to see you again so soon.
Yes, exactly. I'll probably see you again. Who knows?
Have a great week, Stacey. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
The show is so interesting and it's so different. And I want to talk with you both a lot about it. First of all, is Calum, correct?
That's right, yeah.
Wonderful. You play the precocious Zack, who has grown kind of out of his precociousness and into this kind of different state. Tell us about where Zack is now.
Zack is, in a weird way, he's very close to where he was at the beginning of the show when he was 8 years old. He's now 24 and 3/4, as he'll tell everyone. And he hasn't changed too much. And that's really his journey. Coming back onto the show, he's wanted to try being an adult for the first time. At the moment, his mom still comes to set with him. He still has the same haircut from when he was a kid.
Right.
He acts like a kid still. He's kind of frozen in time emotionally. But this is part of his journey, is trying to figure out how to be an adult.
Well, I like that he definitely wants to kind of be an adult, but he still has some kind of unfinished business. There's still a recognition that he desires. Are we going to see him kind of grapple with that throughout this first season?
Absolutely. And I think that's very insightful that you noticed, that you picked up on that. That's exactly right. And there's also an element of we might want to be more mature than we are, or grow up. But the truth is, we really grow up because of life experiences, and you can't always force that. And that's something that Zack doesn't realize now, but he's slowly coming to realize that as the show goes on.
Now, Krista, so you play Elaine. Tell us about your character and how they're kind of entrenched in this world.
Yes, Elaine is the vice president of comedy at Hulu, and that's how she's entrenched in this world. Her first time really in any kind of relation to the entertainment industry. So she's new to it all, very excited, and also just learning herself about growth within and how her choices can be her own versus what she's always been told like should be or shouldn't be. So that's been really lovely to have a character who is experiencing that, because I myself learned from Elaine too.
Well, it's funny because Elaine, of course, has that natural competition. When we see her, the first thing that they ask is like, pull up this clip, and she's got it, 100% on it, but still also trying to find authenticity within herself in this career that is really based on facade. Do we see her kind of grapple back and forth with that a little bit? Is that a part of her journey, you'd say?
Yes, I think she, along with me at the age that both Elaine and I are kind of starting to think broader about what success means and what happiness means. And I think what helped Elaine find that was, one, being there and watching all these people go through their own things, but also the character Zack really just like opened up a door in her life toward love and joy and what's important.
I love that. So each of you, I'll start with you, Calum. Tell me if you had to sum up the show in one word, just one, what would it be?
Ooh, in one word. Can I hyphenate something? Because it's like technically a number.
Yeah.
Second chance would be the word I would use.
Ooh, I like that. All right. And Krista, how about you?
I am an indecisive person, but my impulse was chaos.
Ooh.
That's good.
I like that a lot. Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me about this fun show. I can't wait for more people to see it, and I wish you guys the best.
Thank you so much. I love the stuff that Black Girl Nerds are putting out there. I love the content.
Wonderful. Thank you. We love it too. Very excited about this show, Stephen. Now, you kind of have a history of doing I guess it'd be called like an elevated sitcom when we think of Just Shoot Me, or, even Modern Family to an extent, where it's not necessarily laugh track. It's not, that kind of 90s thing. But I love that this isn't necessarily kind of poking fun of them, but it's really almost like an homage of them. Tell us kind of what kind of brought this idea of Reboot to you.
Well, I had the idea came to me. I was working on Modern Family, and then when the Roseanne reboot blew up, I just remember thinking that must be a fascinating place to be today on that soundstage. Mm-hmm. So I assumed that somebody would come up with that idea, of a show about a reboot. And I had a couple more years left on Modern Family, but nobody did. So I jumped on it. I think it's a natural because you've got some larger than life characters and who are, eccentric and interesting, and the stakes are high, and you have unique situations that happen in this world that don't happen anywhere else. And, most importantly, it's a world that I know very well. So I feel like I could, really do a good job of portraying it accurately.
But did you always kind of have in mind the cast that you have, or did you kind of go towards the characters rather than kind of with an actor in mind?
It always starts for me with the characters, but very soon after that, the first person I talked to 2 or 3 years ago was Keegan, who's a friend. And so, we met for drinks, and I said, listen, I got this idea in the beginning stages of just thinking about it now, but here it is. This is what it's about. Would you have any interest? And he said, sure, it sounds funny. Tell me when you're ready. Because I said it could be a while, and who knows with him, if he would be available. But that's how we started with that. Then, the rest of them come from characters. And then I can quickly start to think of some people that might be good for it, but also our casting directors and everybody are starting to chime in with, people that might be good. And as soon as I hear a name that I like, that person's in my head. And if I live with it for a little while and I start to really like that name, I'll say, "Ooh, get me a meeting. Let's talk about it." And that's how these things can evolve. But it's a process, and sometimes you're down to 2 people. Ooh, I don't know which one. It's hard.
Well, it's an excellent ensemble that you have here, and I wanted to ask you about the behind the scenes kind of element of it. We are at Hulu's offices, and we're having this meeting, and how do you kind of find that line between making fun of the kind of extraness of it all versus being like, oh yeah, this is the company paying our bills and getting us on? So,
well, I hope that people think I never meant for the show to be cynical, and I don't think it is cynical, because I really do love this business. It's been ridiculously kind to me, and I feel incredibly lucky to work in it and to have spent the last 30 years around such interesting, funny people. So I think if it starts from there, where it's good natured, then everybody can do it, because we're laughing we're making fun of writers, we're making fun of actors, we're making fun of network executives. And, I have, there's Paul Reiser playing a writer, putting down actors. Well, he's an actor. So, everybody knows it's good natured. And the Hulu executives, for example, love those scenes. They love the Hulu scenes where we're making fun of their jobs, because they make fun of their jobs too. Sometimes the absurdity of all that, the absurdity of my job strikes me all the time. So as long as they know it comes from a good place, everybody seems to be happy.
Well, I love it. And I think the concept for the show is so interesting, and the execution of what I've seen so far is fantastic. So I can't wait for more people to see it. Yes.
I appreciate it so much. Thank you. It's nice to meet you, Stacey.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking time to talk with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I adore you.
I adore you too.
Yay. Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was everything. And I love seeing you kind of pop up in things. And so I kind of went into the show a little bit blind, and I was like, is that Rachel Bloom? Okay, let's see what we have in store. Tell us about basically how you got involved with the show, and a little bit about Hannah.
They offered me this role in Steve Levitan's new show about Hollywood reboots, and I played a showrunner, a young showrunner, and I was like, well, it was just such a no-brainer.
You're like, yes,
I feel like that's the narrative story of anyone who was offered a role in the show. They were like, what is it? Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things where you don't always get the opportunity to do something that's a little bit unique. And, I'm not really against reboots. I enjoy a reboot, but I like the ones that have kind of a twist to them, that do something different. And Steve Levitan always kind of has those things that are sitcoms, but a little bit, just a little bit different. And so with Hannah, we kind of have this one view of her, but then by the end of the first episode, we're like, oh, twist. So what was it like kind of reading the script and seeing all these different progressions of what she went through?
Well, that was really exciting, because that took the character from like, oh, okay, she's the kind of just like catalyst for this show. Cool. That seems like a really fun, like, supporting role, to like, oh, wait, this is totally different than what I expected. Oh, this is actually a very emotionally meaty character. Again, I would have done it regardless, but that twist at the end of the first episode was like, made it wildly exciting.
What is it like kind of portraying the whole multicam, the sitcom, the kind of classic 90s sitcom? Because most of you have been in quote unquote sitcoms, but like I said, they've all kind of been a little bit different. We have Judy in Arrested Development, we have Paul Reiser, Mad About You, and that thing of going back to the laugh track days. And was it kind of interesting to kind of look back, or you like, thank God we don't do that anymore?
Well, look, we do. I mean, there are still multicams, right? I never really was on a multicam. I've actually only ever done, I was a bit part on How I Met Your Mother 12 years ago. And then I did a guest star on the reboot of iCarly actually last year. But I've never worked long-term on a multi-camera sitcom, which is a very different vibe than a single camera. So I found it rather thrilling to be behind the scenes of like Video Village, what they call it, which I know that from single cameras, but to actually be in a place with a studio audience, it feels very exciting.
It is. I like just the attitude around it. And I love that we're still just, she's an onion. We're still peeling back those layers. We're still figuring out kind of what lies in the heart of her. Can you tell us about like what her journey is like for this first season?
I think her journey is, how much does she want to heal and forgive? And how much does she want to stay in her resentment and anger? And and how much does she want to be vulnerable, and how much does she want to stay guarded? Because for all that she's doing with her edgy films and her art, she's still a very, very locked up, guarded person out of necessity. She's had some hard things in her life.
She has that. When she said the title of the South by Southwest movie, I was like, here we go. Let's go, Hannah.
It's such a running debate about like, what is the movie Cunt Saw about? And actually, when two of the writers left, they gave me as a gift. It was like a writer's room gift that I also got. It was just like Kristen Ritter in Cunt Saw, because they decided that it was Kristen Ritter, I think, playing 3 different roles. And I was like, great.
It works.
Kristen Ritter in Cunt Saw. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rachel, for talking to me about this fun show. I can't wait for more people to see it. And of course, I wish you the best.
Thank you so much, Stacey.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.